Hey guys, David Clayton here with GuitarBreakdown.com, and before I go any further, I don't want to neglect the ladies, which I always do by saying hey guys. So hey ladies, if there are any. I know there are plenty of women guitar players out there. I don't know how many are watching our stuff, but if you are, hey ladies, it's Dave from GuitarBreakdown.com. That sounds so dirty. Anyway, so what we're doing in this video is we are going to break down a Guthrie Govan lick. Now, this is based off of a video I saw uploaded maybe a week or two ago where Guthrie's he's demonstrating his new Charvel Prototype Guitar. And he gets into this really cool jazzy riff where he's playing some really nice chord voicings and throws in this cool little line, which is a melodic minor line. And I saw a lot of comments in that video where people were saying specifically this section, oh, I love when he plays that clean stuff. And along with those people, I agree. I love this kind of stuff. When Guthrie gets into this clean, jazzy stuff, I'd love for him to put out a whole CD of this kind of stuff. Because although I love his intense rock and tapping and great ideas with distortion and everything, I really love when he cleans up and he plays more jazzy bebop, but in the fusion kind of realm. Whereas this is more straight ahead jazzy, but either or, I love them both. And what I'll do is in the link below, I will put a description to not only this video and the time code where he plays this, but also a link to some of our other Guthrie Govan video lessons that we've done. We've done plenty of them, but the ones I'll put the links to below are the more jazzy ones, which have been well received, and a lot of people seem to like it. So if you like this, you may like those. So go over to Guitar Breakdown and check those out. Anyway, let's get into this lesson. Again, it's pretty straightforward with some really cool chord voicings and a little riff, and we'll walk through note for note what's going on, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit of concepts and stuff. And before we forget, let me go over the gear I'm running through real quick because I'm trying to get in the habit of doing that. We get a lot of gear-related questions. So what I'm running through is my Sur Strat into an RC booster by Exotic Effects, EP booster by Exotic Effects. I'm going into a Wampler Euphoria pedal and into a Blue Sky by Strymon, which is a reverb pedal, into an Analog Delay by Maxon, the AD999, into a 50th anniversary JTM 1 watt head, into a Bogner cabinet with a 112 selection speaker. Now, I'm really not getting a broken up tone, even though I'm going through the Wampler, which most people would associate the Wampler Euphoria as something to get a little grit and grain. But I'm just using all this as a little clean boost into the head, which is dialed into a clean tone. And the cool thing about the Wampler, I went through a few other pedals. Again, I just turn things on, turn them off, see what I like, see what I don't like. And the Wampler's giving me what the other pedals weren't, or just the head by itself. It's giving me this nice little spongy, Fender-ish kind of tone, which it just sounds really great. So again, just experiment with these pedals. The Wampler Euphoria pedal, we keep saying we're trying to get to it. We're going to do a review on it. It's a great pedal. It's been on my pedal board for months now, and I absolutely love it. All right, and real quick before we get into the lesson, there's a link below also to GuitarBreakdown.com and the Allen Hinds Lesson Package. If you haven't checked that out, click on the link and see what that's all about. It's an amazing lesson with over 4 hours of content and lessons and transcriptions and licks and everything. And Allen Hinds teaches about an hour and 40 minutes of it. It's absolutely amazing what he teaches. And again, when you click on the link, you'll see a huge description. The pre-sale is probably going to be over this week, and the price goes back up a little bit, so you might want to grab that while the price is a little bit cheaper, save a little bit of money. It's an amazing lesson package, and it's in Allen's hands right now. He's looking it over and just waiting for the thumbs up to release it, so get your pre-order in before that price goes up. And also, we just finished shooting a lesson last night, and I mentioned this in another video we shot. I don't know which one we're going to upload to YouTube first, but I just wanted to mention we shot a video lesson with a guy named Michael Lawler, and he's an amazing guitar player, inspiring guitar player, a GIT graduate from back in the day, studied with some of the most amazing players, Steve Travato, all those amazing guys, and Scott Henderson, and yada yada, the list goes on. And he was one of my biggest influences when I was coming up, when I was going through music school. He used to teach at the same store that I taught at after I graduated music school, and I used to love, he was in the room next to me, and these licks that I would hear him playing were just terrifying. A lot of legato hybrid picking. It's just, he's awesome, really, really awesome. He opened up for Holdsworth for 2 shows this year, so you know, he's obviously amazing if he can do that. So keep an eye open for that. That's going to be coming in the next week or 2, and then we're also doing a lesson package with him that is, it's going to be awesome. It's just going to be filled with hybrid picking, legato stuff, licks, country licks, rock licks, jazzier licks, but mainly through incorporating that legato hybrid picking, because that's kind of something that he's amazing at, mixing that with like arpeggios and pentatonic, but doing that hybrid picking. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the lesson. All right, so these chords are basically following a standard jazz progression, like a 2-5-1 or a 6-2-5-1. And so what he's starting on, this is, if we think about this in the key of D major, which is the 3rd chord, D major 7, which is the 3rd chord he actually hits. If D major is the 1 chord, the next chord in that progression, the 2 chord, would be a minor chord, and that's an E minor chord. Well, that's what he's starting out with. He's playing the 2 chord of this progression, right? And he's using the bar to add a little bit of vibrato. And now also pay attention to the vibrato that he uses, and he's not doing this. You know, he's doing this nice, smooth, almost like a circular motion. Or at least that's what it sounds like, and it makes the chord sound really pretty. And so the chord basically is, you're playing the 7th fret of the A string with your 2nd finger, your 1st finger is playing the 5th fret of the D string, then your 3rd finger is playing the 7th fret of the G string, 4th finger, 7th fret of the B string. And your 1st finger's the palm of the bottom of your fingers barring that 5th fret of the E string. So you have 7, 5, 7, 7, 5. Really pretty chord. And again, you could use that chord as a substitute for if you're playing an E minor chord or an E minor 7 chord, because you're essentially playing the root, the minor 3rd, the flat 7, the 9, and then you have this, which is the 11. So it's basically an E minor 11 chord, which works fine when you're playing like E minor 7 or something like that. Just a different voicing. So anyway, so then it goes into this A7 chord, right? Basically, that's the 5th fret on the E string. You skip the A string and you play the 5th fret of the D string. Then you play the 6th fret on both the G and B string, and the 7th fret on the E string. And then he just slides that pinky up a half step. So the beginning of this goes, and again he's hitting that bass note once, then he's sliding down the other notes of the chord, and then he does the same thing here. He hits the bass note once, and then he hits the chord, waits a second, and then slides up. Right? Now that chord, that 2nd chord, is just an A altered 7 chord. So if you have your A dominant 7 chord, you have your root, you have your flat 7, then the next note here is your major 3rd, right? That's just your standard dominant 7 chord. But then he throws in this, which is your sharp 5. So there's your altered sound. And then he has this, which is the 9, right? then he slides it up to this, which looks like the minor third, but you can also look at that in an altered sense as the sharp 9, because you got the 9 here, and then you slide up a half step to the sharp 9. So this is really like an A7, sharp 5, sharp 9, which are two of your altered tones, the sharp 5 and the sharp 9. Anyway, so that's a 2 to the 5, 5 altered, to a 1. So it's just a real standard jazz progression. And again, that's the next chord he goes to. He ends up going to a D major 7 chord, which is your first finger on the 5th fret of the A string. Then you have the 7th fret on the D string, 6th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the B string, and you're barring the 5th fret of the E string. So the whole beginning is. And he gets into that. Now actually that first one, I think I said he hits the low E note first, then he plays the chord. He just actually strums down that first chord. Then he hits the bass note of the A once. Then he strums down and slides up. And then he walks down a few notes, which he's again, you're over that A7. Before you get to that D, you're over the A7. Walks right into that D major 7. Now this scale that he's walking down is suggesting like an altered scale. You're going from that sharp 9 or minor third to the flat 9 to the root all over A, right? And if you continue down that scale, you'd have right? So that's where he's getting those notes from. It's just playing over that A7, you're doing an 8 altered scale. And it goes right back into that D major 7, which is the 1 chord. So again, it's a 2, 5, 1 progression. Now when he gets on this D major 7 chord, he uses the bar and he dips down while he's strumming it, to give it a nice little sound to it. Instead of just playing these straight, he's adding vibrato and dips. So you have, and when he strums up this chord, he strums up the A, D, G, and B string, and then he plucks that E string 5th fret. Then what he slides into next is he slides into this, it's basically an F sharp minor chord, F sharp minor 7 chord, but he's playing that 6th note. So he slides up with the 2nd finger to the 9th fret of the A string, then the 4th finger on the 11th fret of the D string, then the 1st finger, it's kind of a stretch, the 1st finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and then the 3rd finger is going to play the 10th fret of the B string. Really pretty voicing, really nice chord. And the cool thing is you're getting this half step from this note to this note. You're playing them on 2 different strings. Right? Just a really nice chord. And what that essentially is, it's the 3 chord of this progression. So you have D major 7, E minor 7, to F sharp minor 7, but you're playing it as a minor 6 chord.